is an excellent time to overcome emotional selfishness. And this is by using the energy of Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, streamlining all of that energy, expressing and directing that energy through Libra. Now, this is very J-me Scorpio AF insights, so keep watching. Now, I'm not suggesting that emotional selfishness energy only drives through Cancer, Leo, or anything like that. And this isn't specifically for anyone who is Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising. We all have these signs everywhere in our chart. I'm just using these as references because of the current astrological transits, and I want to share this insight with you. And this is because when we're talking about emotional selfishness and resolving it, this is very much tying in with Cancer, Leo, Virgo, in that Cancer is an emotional sign. Cancer is an emotional sign. Leo is inherently self-centric, and Virgo is about making corrections and resolving problems and challenges, right? And so even though we can be emotional in every sign, the water signs are designed to really be the vessel of emotions. And Cancer is the baby water sign. It's the first water sign, and so this is why a lot of Cancers can be very emotional, or where you have Cancer in your chart, unless you have other indicators that change this energy. There's this emotional charge to it, and oftentimes this is where people experience more overwhelm with their emotions, because even though Pisces are known to be more emotional than Cancers, Pisces is the last zodiac sign. It has mastery over the other signs, and so there's an ability to manage the energy a little bit better. But with Cancer, it's the first time you're experiencing this watery emotion and stuff, so there can be sort of like this overwhelm and there's this useful charge and force behind it as well, because it's got that initiating cardinal energy being the first water sign of Cancer. And so you carry that emotional overwhelm and that emotional intense energy into Leo, and Leo is by design self-centric. And it's not and it's also the sign of self-expression. So it doesn't mean that this is bad necessarily, but if you're emotionally overwhelmed and that's what you're expressing, this is sometimes how emotional selfishness can show up. And so if this is the way that this Cancer Leo energy is being used, wherever Cancer and Leo are in your chart during Virgo season, this is an excellent time to balance that energy with Virgo, because if the energy isn't being used in beneficial ways, then Virgo, being the sign of being very critical and ruminating and overthinking, can kind of perpetuate sort of that energy, because the third house is about communication, how you communicate, what you think, stuff like that. And so Virgo is the third sign from Cancer. So that's Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So this can show up as how you're emotionally expressing yourself in a selfish way. You can what you say and how you communicate. In addition to that expressive energy of Leo, Virgo can be very critical and be very self-focused on your emotional overwhelm, and this is where emotional selfishness can sometimes dominate. But there's a way to redirect this energy, because even though Cancer can be a very emotionally overwhelming sign, and it's important to be honest about how you feel. I'm not encouraging anyone to suppress and repress how they feel because it might be overwhelming for you or other people, because at the end of the day, you're going to feel how you feel whether you express it or not, and it's not healthy to internalize that. But what you can do is you can use that Leo energy in a very beneficial way. Leo, in addition to being selfish and self-centric, it's also very expressive, very creative and dramatic, but that can also be really healing. Leo is also very generous and really optimistic. It's a performer, it's a teacher. So think about your emotional overwhelm and think about how you can express yourself in a way where it's inspiring, you can take an optimistic twist and stuff. Leo also has some positive and negative qualities, in that the problematic qualities can be that Leo can be really stubborn and prideful and stuff, but the positive manifestation, in addition to what I already mentioned, is also how you use your ego, because there can be problematic ways to connect with your ego, but also when you take away the negative connotations of ego, the definition of ego is to have a healthy confidence in yourself. So think about it, if you're experiencing emotional overwhelm and you're operating from a place of healthy confidence, and you're expressing yourself in an optimistic, inspiring sort of a way that is illuminating truth and that's energizing you, this is a healthy way to direct that energy. So this is a wonderful way to use that Leo energy to be really expressive, to see the positive things, and then take that energy and then carry that energy into Virgo and think about in practical terms, using that Virgo energy, which is all about providing practical support that leads to measurable results and being in service of others, is thinking about, okay, what is a practical way that I can express this? What are some habits, some actions that I can take? What are some practices that I can follow? What's some mindset that I can incorporate, a belief system? Are there better phrasing and ways to express myself? It's important to remember that language and communication is extremely versatile and diverse. So instead of saying something like, I'm so emotionally overwhelmed, I never know what's going on, you can be like, I'm experiencing an emotional overwhelm and right now I'm confused, but I want to figure it out. Here are some ways that I can do this. I want to be inspired. Things of that nature, so you can sort of redirect that energy. And I think that this is really important because there is a correlation of when people are experiencing emotional selfishness, especially in the energy of Cancer, Virgo, or Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, there's sort of a codependency that takes place, and that's not healthy. So instead of reaching out to everyone and anyone and experiencing sort of this overwhelm and looking to other people to express this, because you're being emotionally dramatic to a degree and you're expressing yourself, which is a way to be a performer and to put yourself in the spotlight, this is a way where you can be very independent. Like Cancer is a water sign, it's an introverted sign. Learn to connect with your feelings. Find a way to experience emotional comfort and safety. What does that look like for you? Examine what that is, create that environment and that oasis for yourself. And then Leo, representing the sun, it's an independent, fiery sign. So rather than reaching out to others to ask for support, think about how you can independently work through these things. Even though Leo is a fire sign, which is a social sign, it's also the sign of independence. How can you express this in a way that's optimistic and inspiring and energizing and makes you feel good? What does that look like for you? Okay, think of those things, and then once you get yourself into that energy, connect with that energy of Virgo. And this is a great way to end Virgo Mercury retrograde with a bang. And even after Mercury goes direct, we still have Mercury in Virgo, so you can take advantage of this energy as well. So there's just a lot of this great energy that you can really use. And as you tie that together, you can now use the energy of Libra, which is about harmonizing things. It's about it's an air sign. It's about expressing things in a way that's pleasant, refined, beneficial. And Leo traditionally rules the 7th house, which is the sign of other people. And so this is where Libras are very much about thinking about other people and being considerate of other people. So as you do this, as you form this awareness, be mindful of the dialogue that you're having with other people. Consider how other people feel. And I say this because I know some of the most loving, caring Cancers. And again, it doesn't have to be just Cancer. It can be wherever Cancer is in your chart, whatever house it's in. This is an area where you can be particularly emotionally sensitized, and there's sort of this self-centric focus. And I remember having this discussion with one of my friends who's a Cancer sun sign, and she was telling me that unevolved Cancers can be really emotionally selfish because they're so overwhelmed by their feelings that they're not like you. They can't think of everyone and everything outside of you, and they're just so overwhelmed that they're not considering other people. And I have noticed this pattern where there are people that I know that are some of the most compassionate, caring, loving, emotionally wise people that I've ever met, and yet there is a lack of consideration and focus on me because it's all about, I'm overwhelmed, help me, help me, help me. What do I do? I'm overwhelmed, help me, help me, help me. And I noticed that there is a pattern that's happening, and I don't think that, in a way, I do think that I'm helping people, and I see that result, but at the same time, the same questions, the same themes are being asked from different types of people. So I realized that this is a really great time to provide people with tools that you can use for your own reference, so that you can really learn to self-regulate and self-soothe yourself, so that you can reduce sort of that codependence, so that you can create some more harmony within yourself. Because I know it's not something that people particularly enjoy experiencing, but it's something that I think we all experience. I don't care what sign you are, where you have Cancer in your chart, we have all experienced emotional overwhelm, where the way that we express ourselves is self-centric, potentially dramatic, and we're being critical, and we have demanded the time and energy and attention of other people without considering what their bandwidth is. I think that this is something that we've all struggled with, and I think that it's really important to find tools so that we can work through these things, so that we can support ourselves in a more beneficial sort of a way. And so this is really what I want to essentially leave you with, and I'll also give you guys some example with different charts as chart placements as well. So say someone has Cancer in their 8th house, right? Then or even having your moon in your 8th house. The 8th house is about trauma. So there can be a hypersensitized feeling around and emotional charge behind trauma, which trauma already is very emotionally triggering. This is the sign that is traditionally ruled by Scorpio, so there's definitely this energy of that's going on, right? And so there is that consideration. And so if you're overwhelmed with trauma and stuff, and you want to get higher education, you want to understand it better, okay? Having Cancer in your 8th house positions Leo in your 9th house of higher education, wisdom, spiritual teachings, things of that nature. And so this is a great way to look at things from, what is the higher purpose? What is the greater meaning behind this? How can I learn from it? What is the optimistic approach that I can take to really figure this out? This is a great way to utilize and redirect this energy, and so you're not stuck in this self-centric space. And then you'll have Virgo in your 10th house of ideals. 10th house is often associated as your professional, public success, public image, professional status, accomplishments, all of that. But essentially the 10th house is about your ideal. Okay, so this also represents your ideal diet, your ideal workout, the ideals of you. Okay, so the best version of you is inherently very Virgo, which is about being of service. Your 10th house is also about your public perception. Do people perceive you in a way where you are offering practical, measurable support for others? Is there a way that you can use your trauma so that you can help people? Show up as a leader in the way that you express yourself that is beneficial to you. Is the way that you're expressing yourself providing measurable support to others, or are you criticizing yourself from this place of emotional overwhelm and selfishness? So these are some things that you can evaluate and examine. Now, on the other hand, if say you have Cancer in your 11th house of friends, this can show someone who experiences emotional overwhelm that's triggered either by their friends, or when they're emotionally overwhelmed, it's a theme that they tend to go to their friends for support. This can also be that someone is overwhelmed by the internet, things of that nature, right? So understanding what emotionally overwhelms you and trying to mediate and create that balance is going to be really beneficial for you. So these are some considerations to make. And if you have this placement, then you'll have Leo, the sign that's self-centric, in your 12th house. And now I've seen this show up in different ways. This can show up as someone whose selfishness is kind of absent, and they're because it's in the 12th house of hidden things, but the 12th house is also about subconscious and unconscious matters, drives, as well as your psychological downfall. So this could also be someone who is unconsciously, subconsciously selfish and is expressing themselves online or with their friends, like they're sharing their emotional overwhelm. And this makes Virgo the sign of criticism in their first house of Virgo, that's where that critical energy gets very self-directed. And being ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, this can show up as expressing and being very critical, and either expressing that themselves or carrying that energy. And like your first house is about how you navigate your life, and so this can also show up as like the influence that online social media has, and the emotional overwhelm that you feel, and that affecting your confidence, that could influence how you move about in the world, how you navigate your life through your Virgo rising placement. And this can show up as someone navigating their life in a way to avoid feelings of self-criticism. And so it can be potentially a trauma response rather than making empowered decisions based on what you genuinely want to do. It's like, are you being intentional or are you being reactionary? Okay, so this is a way where you can redirect this energy, where you can surround yourself with friends who are Cancerian in nature, who are emotionally nurturing and supportive, friends who are very mothering for you, and working through your subconscious and unconscious drives, identifying what your psychological downfalls are. Now, this can be difficult sometimes because it's a hidden thing. You can ask other people, what are your subconscious, unconscious thoughts, or what's basically the inner dialogue and the narrative that you are saying? How are they associated in a Leo way? Are you ruled by your confidence, your insecurities? What kind of a relationship do you have with your ego? Is this something do you have a healthy confidence in yourself? Or are you being egotistical and defensive and stubborn and prideful? Are you having a hard time letting go? Because the 12th house is very much about letting go. It's about healing, spiritual healing specifically. And if this is something that you struggle with, look at some ways that you can untangle and rewire your mental process, your subconscious and unconscious process through Leo ways, which are creative ways, through dancing, through acting, through improv. Some form of expression can be something that can be really beneficial for you. And this could also be like doing spiritual teachings and putting yourself in the spotlight. This can be something that can be very scary for you, because Leo, the sign of spotlighting yourself, is hidden. So this can also be like maybe doing like some poetry readings or something in some public place, but maybe where like the lights are darker, so you don't feel like you're as much in the spotlight. Processing these things in a very creative sort of a way. You can also do this through music as well. This is a great way to use this energy as well. I know a Virgo rising who plays an instrument, and this person has told me that it's been something that really helps them, which makes a lot of sense because Libra is in your second house, and your second house it sits right below your first house, which is about you and your physical body. So the second house is about things that support you and your physical body. And with the Libra ruling music, this is a great way to balance that energy out, and doing some sort of a creative, engaging in something creative where there's something like a technique that you can improve upon, is a great way to sort of redirect that Virgo energy as well. You can put yourself in the spotlight, you can have fun, but also you can create improvement. And maybe you can use music or singing or writing or something where you channel that emotional overwhelm into something, you transmute that energy. This is a great way to use this. Now, on the other hand, if you're a Cancer rising, this can be that, like, similar to what I mentioned with Virgo risings, where if you're emotionally charged and if the way you're navigating your life as a Virgo rising is based on that emotional overwhelm, this could be a trauma response. A similar thing can happen for someone who's a Cancer rising. Is the way you're navigating your life in reaction to your emotional overwhelm? And if that's you, think about how you can create comfort, safety, and security, which is what Cancer is about, in your home, in your physical body, in the way that you move about in the world. Cancers are represented by crabs, which move sideways. It's not by design meant to be direct. So I feel like a lot of times Cancers get really frustrated because they just want to move forward and they don't, or they can't, or they don't feel aligned. And this is because you're meant to be a little bit indirect. So find more subtle ways to navigate yourself so that and by doing that, you can reduce that sense of overwhelm because you're working with who you are, and that allows you to experience more comfort and safety within yourself. And make this a part of your daily ritual in your physicality, in who you are and how you move about in the world. Okay, and by doing this, then Leo, the things that support you are going to be how you express yourself. This is about how you make money, your family. Leo archetypes, the way that they support you are these people who are optimistic. Are they giving you a sense of safety? Okay, how you express yourself. Okay, the more comfort and safety you feel, the more you're going to express that in an optimistic tone. So if you find yourself expressing yourself in a way that's kind of problematic, think about how you can create that comfort in your rising placement. Okay, and then Virgo is your third house. So this is very similar to having Mercury in Virgo if you happen to have this placement natally. This is about your mindset, how you communicate. So this is a great way to reflect on and periodically really think about what are some habits and actions that you can take. Is your mindset matching your daily practices? The way that you're communicating, how can you incorporate some of these things? It's all of the stuff that I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, but particularly with Cancer rising, having this mindset is going to be really beneficial. Because I know that for myself, when I feel like I've been the most annoying, it's been because I've been emotionally overwhelmed and I'm just like so critical and ruminating in that. And as I've learned to work through that, I have less of a need to express that to other people. And particularly for Cancer risings, because you have the critical sign in your house of communication, this is especially important for you so that you don't create that sort of overwhelm for other people. So these are just some examples and ways that you can use this energy to overcome emotional selfishness. If you found this to be helpful, please like this video, share it with other people. If you have any specific thing that you would like to overcome, comment below and I'll make a video on that. And let's see what else. I guess enjoy the rest of your Virgo season, which is something that I would like to leave you with. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. If you want to get more support in areas where you have challenges, I do have a reading called Your Cosmic Support. And in that video, I tell you where you have support, what that looks like, the archetype of the support, where you can find this support, when it tends to show up, why it shows up, and things of that nature. So if emotional overwhelm is something that you're struggling with, for example, I can take a look at your chart and give you personalized insights about what's going to best support you. Go to my bio and book a reading with me. Thanks so much for watching and have a beautiful day. Bye!